everyone, and welcome to the Transformation Triumph Summit. My name is Jamie Allen Bishop, one of your hosts for this event. I am so honored and excited to introduce these authors with their special wisdom and insights to share. I imagine that you're here because one of the topics appealed to you, or perhaps you're on a transformation journey of your own. I welcome you to enjoy, listen, observe, and take away some of the insights that these authors are sharing so that you can streamline your transformation triumphs. And now, here's more about each of our authors. Today, we're going to interview Barbara Worsley. So let me take a moment and introduce her properly. Barbara was born in London, England. She is an RN, a retired RN, and has worked many years as a nurse before moving to the United States in the early 1990s. She is the mother of 2 adult sons and lives in Amesbury, Massachusetts. She is better known as a channel to many ascended masters, galactics, and dragons, and is affectionately known as the East Coast Dragon Lady and Galactic Dragon Ambassador. She has studied many modalities over the years and is a mind, body, spirit practitioner using Reiki and polarity combinations as a hands-on healer. So please help me welcome Barbara Worsley. Yay!
Thank you.
Barbara, so tell us a little bit about your journey. Let's start it off with this question and how you got there.
How I got there. Wow. Well, there's a few years to cover, so I'll keep it quick, right? You get the little version. I started off, actually, I would say my journey started when we moved to the United States. And that was in the very early 90s, 91, where I discovered Reiki. And I always say it was funny that I was actually I was doing aesthetics, and somebody mentioned that our teacher was a Reiki master. And I actually said, I don't know what Reiki is, but I need to know that. And that launched me, right? So I went from, it was just Usai Reiki, or as I say, the normal Reiki. And then I just did, I decided I didn't want to be a Reiki master. So I just did that. But it made me more interested in what else can I do? Now I've got this aesthetics, so I can do that. I like the massage. And then I was like, maybe I want to be a massage therapist. So I sent off to this local massage school. And again, this is all coincidence. It came in the mail. The first thing that when I pulled it out was polarity therapy. The massage was underneath. I read polarity. I never read the massage. I'm like, oh, that's what I need to do. So what I've learned from that is every time I'm not sure, it's just whatever shows up, it's like, that's what I'm going to do. And if I say, I don't know anything about that, but I need to know, that's where I'm going. So that was my real initiation. And then I did, for a short time, have a practice with some friends. But we decided that we were way too ahead of our time because we didn't get a lot of people interested in Reiki or polarity or massage. And then I think I've said this to many people before, but then life happened, right? I had teenage sons, I got divorced, and life really happened. And I just dropped it. And then it was probably, it's almost like 3 years ago. And I just had this like nudge. It was sort of towards the end of COVID. And I thought, there's something I need to do, and I'm not sure what it was. And again, I did what I always do. I was like, okay, let's see where this takes me. And I jumped back on that bandwagon and started to relearn, find other people, find people across the United States, not just, a town over. So now I was like meeting people from across the United States. And most people know it's like when I decided what I was going to do, it literally, I took off. That was be 2 years ago this January, and I'm still like, I'm actually out like this. That's why I chose that background. I'm like, I'm out in outer space. So here I am. And all those, and so some of the things like channeling and all that stuff literally has come to me. And I probably have been doing it for many years, but now I've embraced it. So
That's awesome. So that being said, what exactly is channeling? How would you describe that?
Right. So channeling is different for everybody, and different people will tell you different ways. For me, it actually. So what does it feel? And I know you asked me this question before. It's I get like a feeling that either somebody wants, you know, in that feeling like somebody wants to talk to you, or you like think, oh, I'm going to get a phone call. It's sort of like that feeling. Or sometimes I might hear a sentence and I'm like, oh, and I might recognize who it is. So for a long time I sat down and wrote what I was hearing or what I was feeling. But now I've sort of progressed, so they tell me. And for the most, I've done various things. I've written it down. I've actually started to speak it out loud. For the longest time, I couldn't connect, my brain couldn't connect with my mouth. So I was like, I know what I'm hearing, but how do I say it? And that's practice. It's like everything, it's like practice. But for the most part, I'm guided by what I'm told now. They're either say, I've actually had messages that are, do not write this down. This is not for you to write down. Or they're like, we want you to write this down. We want you to talk more about it.
Love that. So what I'm hearing you say is that you started kind of automatic writing and then it kind of transitioned into being able to speak it.
Yes.
What is the difference, if there is a difference?
Right. Well, yes and no. So I think, and anybody that watched my grounding talk as well, it's so for the first thing you have to do, you have to be firmly grounded in today, in the present moment, you know, on Mother Earth. Like, we really need to do that. And I talk about that a lot, and you'll probably catch it. And I talk about it in the book. But to be grounded. But again, I was writing a lot of messages, but I didn't connect that it was channeling. So I would share it. I posted it almost like poems, because I really wasn't like making that, because sometimes they sort of rhyme. And I guess like everybody in the beginning, I was thinking, oh, I'm getting this idea and I'm writing it down, until I started to get messages of who I was getting the message from. So then I started to ask, oh, well, who's this? And even if I didn't know the name, I would write it down. And I always say, thank goodness for Google, because I'd go to Google and I would literally fall off my chair, because it would be exact. I'd be like, I didn't even know that, but that's the message I got. So it would line up. But I think the biggest shift was when I was actually in a Facebook group, and people were asking for messages and things. And I'd asked, you know, I'd said, yes, I'd like a message. And I was getting the feeling I wasn't going to get one. And it was right at the very end when I heard, you're going to get a message. And it was very simple. It was, why are you not using your gifts? And I was like, me? No, I'm using them. And it was, you are a channel, and you need to start embracing that. And the minute I said, oh, I'm a channel, it all shifted. And then it was almost like they saw me open up, and they were like, oh, now we can talk to you. So that was that shift. And it was really embracing that. And then the more I started to say it and started to share it, because again, you know, not everybody understands because channeling, it can be channeling loved ones that have passed over. Mine was, of course, different. Of course, I have to be different. That wasn't what I was channeling, right? First of all, it was ascended masters. And then as I started to understand the ascended masters, suddenly galactic stuff kept popping in. And my first one was Ashtar. And I think a lot of people often get Ashtar because he's sort of out there watching us. And I literally, I was speechless. I was going, what, galactic? I don't know. Why am I getting galactic messages? And I connected with a few people that knew about galactic stuff. And they're like, yeah, that's pretty common. And I was like, okay. And then after this galactic stuff, the dragons started to talk to me. And I'm like, galactic dragons? So yeah, it's sort of been a very interesting where it all has led.
Talk about powerful though, like the subliminal message of you need to accept who you are, and then you verbalizing it and everything shifting. I didn't know that part before, so that's awesome. That's
No,
huge,
and
actually.
it true. And I will honestly say, I remember you talking once about why are we not like I've got a private Facebook page, and then I've got my Facebook page, which is family, friends, you know, sort of people you work with, maybe. And you'd said, like, why are you hiding? Like, not just me, but why are we hiding stuff away? Because then people think, oh, you don't want to talk about it. And again, the shift came when I was like, oh, well, they probably all think I'm crazy anyway, so let's see what happens. And the surprising thing was that people would say, oh my goodness, let me tell you my story about my dragons. Let me tell you, I've been seeing dragons, I've been talking to dragons, I've dreamt about dragons. I mean, it literally was like, and there were people I wouldn't have had a conversation with about it, because you know, you still want people to not think that you're but then what happens is you just find a group of people that you can have a conversation with. And usually when you in that group, people are like, wow, this is so refreshing that we don't have to explain it. We can just say, do you get this? Does this happen? Or this is what I heard today. And we say, yeah, that's what I did as well. So yeah.
So yeah, you find your community big time. So can anyone channel?
Yes. Yes. I think, and it is a matter of confidence, and like any muscle, we have to keep using it. And I sometimes don't always take my own advice, right? So I've often told people, you know, this is what you need to do. But again, just recently, and any of you catch me, I'm always talking about, oh, what's just happened, or what's just, so I think a lot of people do this. Like if you read oracle cards or you post them on your Facebook, you usually write down what is in the little booklet and say, oh, this is what I got today. So the dragon said to me, you need to start, like, so I've been using a deck called Raise Your Vibration, because that's what we all need in the world. And that I'll give credit to Kyle Gray, who's a wonderful Scottish young man. And I have probably most of his oracle decks. And he has this one, Raise Your Vibration, which I was led to. And the dragon said, you can pick the cards, pick the theme, but it's your unique message. And of course, if you do it every day, this is where so when I get to share a message, this is from this group of a collective of dragons that have actually come through because of that. So yeah, so I took my own advice eventually, and it took a few years, right?
I completely relate to that, Barbara. One of the things that I would love, if you are willing and or able, is if you can share a channeled message.
Yes, and as I said, so the dragons they're very funny. They have a great sense of humor, and sometimes and they often talk about, well, it's because you're human that you need this. Like people want names, and they were like, we really don't care about names, but if you want one, I'll give you one. Or that's and they just might be my group of dragons, right? Because they just, I mean, and there's other people that it's a lot more serious, but they're pretty funny. So this group, as I said, once I took my own advice and started writing they started off as like a couple of sentences. I could write a paragraph or more now. But so this group of so they actually called themselves the Guardians. And I was like, oh, that sounds serious, the Guardians. So again, there's no big mystery here. You just have to ask them. And I was like, so who are these Guardians? And they said, well, we're dragons. But you have to remember that for the longest time, if you go back in history, we were put on, so dragons and gargoyles and all that sort of thing were put on castles and churches as protection. So a lot of people used to refer to the dragons as guardians. And when I shared this message, they explain who they are as well, which is like, it was fabulous. And they were like, now you need to share this, because there's a few riddles in there, but you'll get it anyway. So this was just a couple of weeks ago. So it starts off by saying, we are many, but also a few. We are the guardians of your solar energy system. The many and the few are ancient and new. We hold the sun, the moon, the stars, and beyond. We hold ancient knowledge and new. Some of the new is foretold. It is now reachable to those who can now tap on into our enormous energy flow. We are your sunlight, the moon that shines bright at night. We travel and can see you in your beautiful skies, across your beautiful planet as we twinkle of sunlight. We can be your weather pattern. We can be your guides. Ancient on you, our love is for you. And as you, our channel, awakes to the moon and stars, we ask you to raise your vibration, share our words and our wisdom. We bless you from above, below, and all directions. Your ancient timelines are awakening. You conjure up memories of connection to skies. Your love for the clouds during your awakening is another ancient gift you are waking up to. Open up your connection, for those clouds are an answer to many ancient questions and many, many wisdoms. Our dragons picked you, dear dragon lady, to speak through you. It opens you to many levels beyond your vision or knowledge. Keep open, listen to our wisdom, for we are your guardians, dragons. In light, love, and galactic wisdom, we honor and love you all. So I thought that was beautiful. And again, there's that little bit of humor in there, like, we're older than you, we're ancient, which, you know, there are new dragons coming into the world as well. So
I think what I like the most is that the very beginning, when they look down at the planet and see it as being beautiful,
cool.
Like they see the good, right?
Right. And yes, and I think there's a lot, because there's so much going on in our world that, you know, when you get these sort of messages, it always makes me feel like we need to be above that, right? It's raise your vibration. We need to vibrate at the higher vibration. So yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the peace in knowing that there's something bigger out there. Like that brings peace to me, 100%.
Yes. And it's not just the sun and the moon and the stars. There are galaxies. There's more beyond that.
Huge. Yeah. So if we're looking for you, where can we find you?
So very easy. I've streamlined it so you can only look for eastcoastdragonlady.com. So that's my website. And then I do have other addresses, but they're all on my website. It's one of those one click, and it'll take you to my private Facebook page. It'll take you to Instagram, to any of those things. So all you have to remember is East Coast Dragon Lady.
That's awesome. That actually makes it so much easier. Good for you.
So much easier. So much easier. Love that. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. And I'm so glad that I could come and share that with everyone. So thank you.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you.
Get the book. You'll want to read Barbara's chapter.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And, you know, the stuff that I wrote back at the beginning of the year is like so different to now. So, yeah. I'm thinking maybe another book, right?
Oh, for sure. Another book, Barbara, for sure.
I think that the stuff I'm collecting could be another book. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.